I can have a thing for Bob Marley.
I really like your shirt. I like
my shirt.
Yeah.
You like my shirt? I like
my
shirt.
Tie upon the Michelle shirt. Turn up.
Sure. Me think of my shirt. Me think of my shirt. Yeah, I like.
Which shirt? You have a shirt.
It cold down here. It cold.
You have a hoodie. But Leo go like he had to wear hoodie down
here. It cold down here, you know. Michelle.
It's cold?
Yeah. It's cold up here in Jacksonville. It's raining, actually.
I was going to ask you that if it's cold up at Jacksonville there.
Yeah, it's been cold all week, like 20 degrees in the morning, going up to 50 during the day.
No, nobody asking in Jamaica. We're warm and nice and friendly around here.
Send somebody come give way. Oh my gosh. We are actually live, you know. So what is 9:57, and I mean, I guess we can start. I mean, I sent out the thing this morning, and did you see the responses that I got? You guys saw the responses? We can start the conversation right now. Actually, I sent out my distribution this morning on the show, and I got some really interesting responses on the Buju Banton.
Okay, an issue. I'd have to see. I didn't see it yet.
But I let our news reporter get the story going so that we can actually start. So, news reporter, you ready?
Yes, I can hear now. And
I
have the news up.
Hold on.
I want to say that the news today is coming from RFM website, and it says Buju's Foundation denied certificate of registration. International dancehall reggae entertainer Buju Banton was refused a certificate of registration. We should have said certificate.
A certificate.
For his Buju Banton Foundation due to his criminal past. According to a post made by Buju Banton, the charity's authority denied his foundation a certificate of registration because he was convicted in 2011. The Gargamel, in a post to his over 1.2 million followers on Instagram, shared his letter of rejection. Clearly displeased, Buju wrote, "I bet that I am way more honest than all of them fools put together."
Oh, God.
After serving 7 years of a 10-year prison sentence in the United States for drug possession, Buju was deported to Jamaica in December 2018 and has made several charitable donations to the country's inner city youths through his Buju Banton Foundation.
Well, it's a good start this morning. It's Leo Gilling alongside Dr. Dianna, Davis Smith, and attorney Michelle Fanger. Oh my gosh. It's a Saturday morning. It's cold bad down here in Florida. And Dianna said it's not cold in Jamaica. Warm and nice. You want to send somebody? But I think Michelle is cold up there. You cold up there, Michelle?
Yeah, it's cold and it's raining up here in Jacksonville.
Oh, it's raining?
And I'm from New York.
Oh.
I shouldn't be cold. That's why I left New York.
It's warm, man.
We do this every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock from 10 until midday, and we talk to several persons, whomever we can catch on the fly sometimes. So today we have two attorneys coming to join us. We have Isat Buchanan coming, has been on the show here before. And also we have Ewan. It's Ewan, not Ewan, right? It's Ewan Simpson. Ewan Simpson, the president of JARIA, the Jamaica music industry. Okay. What's it called again, Dianna?
I don't know. Middle link.
It's Jamaica something music industry, whatever it is. But he will tell us when he come. You know, the fun about this is that we are on the fly. We don't plan nothing. We just chat. All we do is we have our news reporter in Dr. Dianna Davis read this news and then we chat. Okay, so join us for the discussions. All right, so right off the bat. Dianna said, gave us the thing on Buju Banton, and I'm sure that Isat Buchanan, when him come on, he will give us some experience. So we are going to do our little, regular commentary on these things and see how it goes. So what do you think, Dianna?
I think we should probably start by remembering that today is Bob Marley's birthday.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, all right. Hold on. Let me start again. So today is Bob Marley's birthday, 76th birthday. Happy birthday, Bob Marley. One love.
Okay, bust a tune.
Huh? Bust a tune.
Bust a tune.
One heart. Let's get together and feel all right. Yes.
Yes.
It's also the start of Black History Month in the United States. So that's a big thing in the United States. And also, it's Reggae Month kickoff from last year. So that's why we're all dressed up in our Jamaica thing. So me all Jamaica out. I'm Dianna all Jamaica out. And Michelle all
Michelle, show you
Jamaica. It's in white, so because white and Zoom you can't really see it. But it's there.
What they call it?
Bleach Jamaica.
What they call it? Tie and dye, right? To the high school. Tie and dye. All right.
And then if Michelle bleach, like we can't see her Jamaica. She
Michelle, we soon can't see you because of the bleaching. All right. Oh my God. So I got some responses this morning, right? I got some responses, and I'll just read a couple of them because they're interesting, right? So the first comment that I got says, Buju Banton was very irresponsible with his platform last year, telling folks to do away with their mask. And she didn't like that, the lady who said that. And then another person says on Facebook, them feel low the man. Him did his time and is now putting forth a good effort to make positive contributions to the society. All right. And then another one said, no, we have to send a message to the younger people that when you break the law, there is consequences. And in the US, with a record of that magnitude, you can't vote, can't travel, etc. I think
I'll have to correct that.
Okay, when we're done. I think it's very important that we stick to it and don't make an exception because of who he is. All right, so make the correction for me there.
Well, one of the correction is they have made reforms in regards to individuals who serve time where they allowed them to vote. There's a step to take where the governor and also in Florida, we've worked on that project where we restore people's rights. So you can vote. And if you notice, there was an issue where they say you had to pay a penalty. And I believe last year, what's that billionaire, Bloomberg, paid a portion of people's penalty that would allow them to vote. So that have changed. And also we have to be mindful. We need to stop comparing Jamaica to America.
Yes.
The issue is in Jamaica. It's not America. He did his time, he served his time. The thing is that the law is the law. No matter how we feel personally, it is a law, it is a requirement. So although we have our personal feelings that yes, they shall allow him because he's doing good. Because the thing about going to prison serving time is that you are rehabilitated, you are able to assimilate back in society, and you're giving positive contributions to society, which is what he's doing. But we have to look at what the law is in regards to giving these certification for these type of organization. If he doesn't meet the requirement, he doesn't meet the requirement. They do need to revisit it and maybe change it, but it's just the law. We might have our personal feelings, but the law is really the law. That's just my opinion.
What did Buju say, Dianna? He says, I bet that I am way more honest than all of these fools put together.
He's right.
And I don't know. I think that we perhaps really don't know why it was denied. Buju says that it was denied because of his conviction in 2011. Is there some other process that he needs to go through after that in order to meet the requirements of the Charities Association? Does he need to sign a particular form in order to then move to that? We don't know. I think that our best bet is probably to see if somebody with the Charities Authority would be keen to have a dialogue, and they perhaps won't because they're going to say it's a personal issue. But we could ask from a general perspective, you know, if you're convicted, does that impinge on your ability to operate a foundation?
All right, so a lot of people says, sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
No, go ahead, because I was trying to find what's the requirement on their website, but
he actually published the letter on his website that shows the reason. I'm not so sure what it is, but you know, some people are some persons are confusing this issue. They say, "Oh, him give $3 million to the boys club, the boys thing last year. Why he can't get this thing?" But the fact is, a donor is different from an owner, isn't there? A huge difference from a person who gets the ability to run a foundation from the person who's the donor. So the donor can give as much as he wants, but it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not he can actually run, because there's a sense of a whole lot of sense of liability and responsibility as human beings as to running an organization like that. So I guess that's where that's coming from, right?
And then the interaction with the public and the interaction with other people, probably there's some implications that they consider, well, okay, it's one thing to own it, but you're going to be actively involved in it, and we're going to be endorsing your affiliation or association at a particular level. I'm sure there are lots of reasons.
And then look at that too. It's, you know, especially setting the example for kids. Here's Isat Buchanan coming up.
But he said to me, he said, you know, he got convicted for the crime. But you have a lot of people that say they go to jail, they can't do anything after. So he's showing you there's life after. You can correct it. You made a mistake. You can make mistakes in life, part of growing. He's made his mistakes, service time, it's time to move on. If he's trying to do something positive and, you know, give back to the community, and also motivating and mentoring people and say, no, don't take this step, that's a good thing. I don't think they should deny, but if it's the law or the requirement, it is. They just need to change it. That is my opinion.
That's gonna take an arm and a leg. But I wanna welcome attorney Isat Buchanan here on the show. A premier attorney in Jamaica. He's been on the show before. Welcome to you this morning. We have Dr. Dianna Davis-Smith, president of Catholic College of Mandeville, and attorney Michelle Fanger and myself. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me. Morning, everybody.
Right. You're gonna have to square us away this morning, because you know we're talking here, so you have to straighten us on this Buju Banton thing.
The Buju Banton thing. Wow, this is where I'm gonna get myself in trouble, because people don't like the truth. And so I will start by saying this, and I've said it already in public space. What they did to Buju Banton is most unfortunate, and it is a clear misunderstanding of the law by the board. And for those reasons, I am sure that Buju Banton, I can't speak for him, but he is in a place where he is far above the fray. So he is not going to allow those on the board to subject him to further humiliation and bring up his past and make this a public spectacle. So he's going to walk away. And that's a disadvantage to the public, especially the poor class, which his foundation certainly would help. Now, I will say this about the Charities Act and the clear language of the act. And so the public needs to know this. There is a standard called fit and proper. And
repeat that for me.
There's a standard or requirement from the act that says a person must be fit and proper.
Okay, gotcha.
To qualify to even sit on the board of a charity. If in the case of where it is a church who starts a charity, you have to be fit and proper to sit on the board.
Yes.
Now, what people have done in the Jamaican space is to anything that you apply for, they use the fit and proper standard of that of an attorney at law. Or if I may, that of a justice of the peace who suddenly think they're above a rank higher than even attorneys at law. But let me go back so the public can understand.
Take a note of that.
If you want to be a justice of the peace, you must have unquestionable integrity. That's the standard. Unquestionable integrity. If you want to be an attorney at law, you must have what is called good character.
Okay.
Every attorney at law has unquestionable integrity, has probity, is trustworthy. These are the things that you're cloaked with. Now, if you want to be a real estate agent, you must be fit and proper. If you want to open a charity, you must be fit and proper. The standard for fit and proper for a real estate agent and anybody who wants to start a charity, it means you must not be convicted, and the act is clear as day, of crimes of dishonesty. What are crimes of dishonesty? Clearly, the board does not know what this is.
Oh boy, okay.
And if they sought the guidance of an attorney at law, respectfully, they were misinformed or ill-advised.
That is very key, Isat.
It's key. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, from a legal framework,
yes,
what are the crimes of dishonesty?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Because when you are going to be, and I'm using these persons so you understand, when you're going to be an attorney at law, when you're going to be a real estate agent, when you're going to deal with charity, you're dealing with people's money.
Yes.
So what people are concerned with is whether or not you are going to abscond with money, whether you are going to be dishonest. And so we don't just sweep everybody who has a conviction under one umbrella and said, because you have a conviction, it means you're dishonest.
Right.
No, there are standards. There's something called mala prohibita,
Yes.
which is crimes of prohibition.
Yes.
And then there is mala non se, which is crimes of moral and dishonesty, things that your conscience and your moral compass, even if no one was around, should have guided you.
Right.
Why I'm being so specific is because the people need to understand crimes of prohibition change over time. Our brothers and sisters in the 80s and the 70s used to pack up themselves on Air Jamaica and present themselves in America with tons of ganja. And they would be sent away for 30 years and 40 years and 20 years. And all of a sudden, Bill Gates and everybody who is white, the first billionaire out of marijuana is from the United Kingdom. And ganja suddenly is legal everywhere else, but decriminalized in Jamaica. So let me now address Buju Banton. Buju Banton is not a thief. Buju Banton did not commit a crime of dishonesty. A crime of dishonesty means you have white-collar crimes. Crimes that Ruel Reid, a minister, is suspected of.
Yes.
Absconding with people's money, fraud, check writing, scamming, things that would deprive ordinary citizens of their money. Now, Buju presents himself and say, I, Buju Banton, who filled out the National Stadium when I returned and got the Nelson Mandela welcome from Babsy Grange, and the Prime Minister was at his show, and the Minister of Security, and everybody was skinning up them teeth with him. And high and mighty Buju Banton, that anybody who has a charity that keeps a show says, please come and perform so we can raise money. He says, I want to start a charity to help poor people. Buju Banton, who is rich, that don't need anybody money.
All right. Can I ask you a question?
Man, go ahead.
You're saying really good thing. I want to ask you, presidents, have there been anyone in the past who have received such an honor of starting a non-profit, a foundation, and they have had issues in the past, whether it's issues of prohibition or issues of moral fortitude?
Well, I will say this. I don't know if there is precedent.
Yes.
But I am going to prepare myself to start a charity. And I hear the board. No, in fact, I invite the government to change the Charities Act before Isat Buchanan, put in for my charity.
Okay.
I dare them to deny me and tell me because I had prior conviction, especially
I want you to tell them. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up.
I am bringing it up
okay,
because
yes.
when lo and behold, when I saw it on the news, I said, oh, I feel it for Buju Banton.
That's why it's good that
and
you're
the next day, my phone is flooded with comments on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. If Isat Buchanan can turn lawyer with field conviction, why Buju can't get a charity?
Isat, I want to ask Isat to turn on a little bit so that we have a little better light. And I want to ask you, because
let's see if I can, let me see if I can.
Around the house. So we all can look in the eye and tell you.
All right, give me a second. Let me see if I can fix this lighting.
Let me try this, Leo.
I am very insightful.
I am so happy that he came because he's the right person for this discussion, you know. The absolutely right person.
Is that better? No,
no, really. You have the door behind you open. If you can close that door behind you.
Let me transfer it to my phone to see.
Okay, all right. Good. Yeah, man. But perfect person to be here this morning. And I'm so happy that we're thrashing out this. Yes, because, you know, we have standards that are written. We don't live it, but we don't live it, but we oh, there you are. You're looking pretty good. You know, we don't live it, but we create this thing like we are perfect beings, you know, and we don't commit anything, and we're the same one who did something illegal but then didn't get caught, and then later on living big on it, and then start to judging people who are, you know. Yeah, we're not hearing you. You have to unmute.
Yes. Unmute.
All right. So yes, I hope you're seeing me better now.
Yeah, man, much better.
Let me just get something clear. Buju Banton was convicted in the United States.
Yes.
It has no bearing in the local space. It was very unfortunate that they consider it. It was an improper consideration. The local authority have no jurisdiction under the act to even consider the conviction.
Thank you.
Nonetheless, they have a duty to ensure that the person is fit and proper. So if he did commit a crime of dishonesty anywhere in the world, one would understand that they would have to take that in consideration.
Yes.
And we would, if the act didn't even contemplate that, we would hope that they make proper checks and balances. Now, in this context where the crime he committed is not one that the act had contemplated, they have no authority to even consider it and say this is the basis for denial. And on top of that, they went further to say that he is a public figure. And so I have to say that we need to get this right, because listen, he paid his debt. He did his 10 years in the United States, and he was thereafter deported. And so this would be, in my mind, respectfully, triple punishment. And he has more capacity than anyone that sits on that board to have a charity and to be able to help poor people. And you want to stop that. You want to stop somebody who has the capacity and the ability and has no record of any dishonesty and is unlikely to be dishonest.
Okay, so you spoke on jurisdiction. Because that's a very important and a very key
also
point.
Important, yes.
Because, I want to know if the application says anything about conviction anywhere in the world, or just because
so let's get this clear, because
very important. Yes.
So let me clarify this. They have a form which they created, which is similar to a form prior to myself becoming an attorney at law, you would go on the website, and I'm sure Michelle can confirm or say this. It would say, how do you become attorney at law? When I went on it, it says must not have a conviction. It says that on the website. But that's misleading information because nothing in the act says that.
Oh.
It does not say that.
They're adding to
So
the act.
we are guided by the legislation, the act.
Oh
And for
my God.
anybody that doesn't know, I invite you to look at the Charities Act and look at sections 17 and 18. And it makes clear what they are to consider at 15 and 16. And it's the language is clear. So when it comes to statutory interpretation, the clear language restricts you.
Yeah.
It restricts you. It says crimes of dishonesty. So when they give you the form and they said, have you ever been convicted in anywhere in the world? You can answer, yes, you know, I sold a little drugs and I did my time. And Buju, knowing him, he made that clear. And if he even said no, if he even said no, he's a public figure and everybody knows his business.
Yeah.
So even if he said no, all they would have to say is, come on, Buju, why are you telling us no? And Buju would say, well, it's not in Jamaica.
Jamaica, exactly.
I'm not a criminal in Jamaica. You don't get to treat me like a criminal in my country where I'm a first-class, first-rate citizen, and then you try to reduce me in the media. Exactly. That's what happened. But what they did is wrong. I'm sticking by it, and even though he's gone beyond it, as in he's not following it up, I will go in every public space and say what the board did was wrong. I'm not gonna stop saying it.
So you're saying that he's gone, he's leaving it behind. That means it affected his personality because Buju is a fighter.
I will tell you this, and take it from me, who, if I open my, probably after your audience and your viewers listen to this, they're gonna curse me and remind me every opportunity that they get. If you said there are human rights violation going on, no, they say shut up, little convict. They don't respect the fact that they don't respect the fact that it is by the law that I became an attorney at law. They put in the media, and you can Google it yourself. They say it all the time. Twice convicted man becomes attorney. They have to start that to reduce you.
Yeah.
But it's not some let me use the right words. I don't have a shame tree when it comes to my convictions. Something that took place some 25 years ago. And I would have, is neither whether I did it or not. I've gone beyond trying to tell people whether I'm innocent or guilty. I did all the time, every day that was required of me, and I put my life together and hope, just as Buju Banton has done, that young people can see that we have one life. When we make mistakes, it cannot be that that's the end of our life. It cannot be.
Yeah,
we as human beings must. So even where the law and one of you said it earlier, if the law is saying he can't do it, the law needs to change.
Yes.
Ironically, the law says he can have a charity.
Okay.
And the board needs to be dismissed.
Buchanan, you feel strongly about it, and I can understand. It's almost ironical that we sit in judgment of each other all the time. We preach about forgiveness of sins and forgiving and moving on, but we don't actually practice it when it comes to when it hit the tire hit the road. We're not doing it. And I think that we probably really need to look back at ourselves, meaning us as people,
a society,
we
yes.
actually practice what we preach, and how can we do that? I'm happy that you turn around your way and you pay your time and you come back and you decide to be productive and contribute in a positive way, and you become an example to encourage so many others. And personally, I want to invite you out here in this public space to come to my college and talk to the young boy them in my sixth form program, so them can say, okay, fine, you make a mistake, but it don't stop you from being
Yeah.
the best you. And that is
Yes.
really very
Yeah.
encouraging.
And the
What?
thing is that, not just to cut you off, because based on what I do, immigration, I've met a lot of people that have like drug convictions from like the 80s and whatever. You couldn't tell they had it. But when I listen to their story as to why, like even one guy who told me that the first time he came to the United States, they kicked him out. He didn't have anything, nothing to do, but he had a family back home. So he decided that one day to, sell a little. A guy said, sell something for me. He didn't know anything about it coming from country. I think go on the corner, so police go lock him up. And he just plead. But he has been so good. He is friends with all police, like the sheriff. He's had a big company. He's giving back to his community. But you couldn't tell, but he's been doing the right thing. So even him talking about it, people understand why people turn to doing certain things for survival, and then they can correct it, because he's trying to correct it by giving back to his community in Jamaica and assisting others so they don't have to, go on his route that he went on. So that's why I think people should be more forgiving if they have made, Buju hasn't done this, whatever they say he's done since he's been back, right? He's been giving back,
But he didn't do
doing
it
what he can
here.
for his society. Yeah.
He didn't do it
Okay.
in Jamaica.
So
Like
here's
Buchanan
here's
says,
a
it's
here's a
conviction
question
that
for you. Here's a
Mm.
question for you, Isat. Sorry,
Mhm.
Dan.
Yeah, man.
All right. So you are going to file for your application for foundation, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they turn you down. What's the next step?
Same thing I did when all right, so
we have to invite
I'll
us
be
to join the
doing
board.
the same thing that I did when I applied to become a justice of the peace. I was approved. The queen in all her whiteness has ordered my commission and had asked for me to be given my stamp and seal. And those in Jamaica decided that no, I cannot, because it would open the door to allow ordinary citizens to think that they can become JPs, especially if they mess their life up. And so they denied me. And I went to the court for judicial review, and it is before the court. It is before the court, because we are all guided by the law.
So they still haven't given it to you?
We are before the court,
The
so I
report.
can't
Okay.
speak much on
Oh, you
that.
can. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but just
I
to
am
say one
prepared.
thing.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, because I'm confused, because with the JP thing, I've seen in the news where JPs are having issuing fake documents and all that stuff. They're not above anything. Have you seen, like, I've seen
No,
it.
so I was taken aback when I was told that I was not of unquestionable integrity, notwithstanding being an attorney at law. So I said to myself, the law is the law and we all follow the law.
Yeah.
I am prepared to go all the way to the Privy Council for this. Likewise, when I make my application to open a charity, I'm prepared to go all the way to the Privy Council, because yes, you can review and you can deny, but one thing I can tell you, Buju Banton didn't make that application without thinking that he was in a position to do the best for his country. And I will speak for him. He doesn't need to open a charity to run no scam on people. And he of all persons would be one as similar to Shaggy that will make meaningful contributions when it comes to charities. And so when I do make my application, if I am denied, I will do it just so that persons who don't fight or don't know the law, their rights aren't taken away from them.
We are happy to have
From
something like
improper
you.
considerations. That is why I'm going to do that. Aside from the fact that every day when I wake up, I do so many cases as charity, and being able to give back. We cry about crime and the heartlessness that goes on every day. And here you have a man who was convicted in the United States, come back and wants to give back to his society, and you're saying, no, you can't do it. What kind of madness is that? And put bitterness and anger, embarrassment, reduction in soul, heart, and enthusiasm. You knock that out of him. No matter how old he is, you would have taken away the fire to help his brothers and sisters by denying him.
Yes. That's what I meant when I said it personally, but actually took his passion away.
Yes, you did. You did that because he can say, you know what, forget everybody, me, all right. We look about me and my picnic them.
Yes.
And then the same poor people gonna say, oh, then they say, yes, you are an entertainer, you have a social responsibility. Don't make music, that is bad. You don't give back to the community, and you were poor once. What fabric, what message are we sending to society if we're not allowing people to rehabilitate, to give back? That's all you can do, and I can tell you from experience, without any shame or embarrassment, my life has no other meaning but to serve society, to make amends, to say I have faltered and have made mistakes in my life that cost me 10 years, my 10 youthful years. And I spend the rest of my life, as long as I am alive, to serve the public and the world, to give back, be selfless, and do all that is good to pay for my sins. I don't know any other way to say it. And that's how everybody who think about rehabilitation and want to make amends personally, that's all you can do. Yeah. And every time you fill my soul with bitterness and knock the fight out of me, to feel, I don't know if the word is less than, to want to reduce, especially when I'm not chasing what you're chasing. I'm not in the competitions. I'm not looking for the accolades. I'm not looking for the attention you're looking for. I simply want to ensure that the society I live in, every youth, every male, every female, everybody has the chance to just live good, compassion and love. I don't know what else to say. So when I see it's being rejected, when somebody says to me, we know you help people, but you can do it without being a JP, I'm taken aback.
Yes. It's a good segue. It's a good segue because I wanted to also find out about the work that you're doing with the convicted persons. Yes. And, because I know that you have worked your best in getting some of these guys who are sitting in prison, no paperwork done, no paperwork, and they're just sitting in there. What's going on with that? Tell us about that kind of work that's going on.
Well, currently, myself with Stand Up Jamaica and a lot of other attorneys, including Michelle, has also reached out and is doing what she can in her capacity. And we certainly are still working to get the mentally ill. As you know, the government has not yet found alternative housing for them. Some of them, they are not only mentally ill, but they're also infirm. So they would need to be hospitalized. And with the COVID, a lot of technicalities have come up. But there's so many other things that's going on. For instance, uncontrollable minors. Recently, they have discovered that they are being abused while being detained by the DCS, and we're trying to look about that, as well as the COVID outbreak within the prisons. And notwithstanding, the Minister of State, Mr. Matthew Samuda, he has not released anybody. We cry about the parole. They're not doing it fast enough. And it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's not just inmates. What people fail to understand, and I'm saying this, I'm treading lightly when I say this, is that
it's almost as if you are from the ghetto, you are a
Dude.
convict.
Yes.
No, it's like they treat you like you're a convict, and we haven't gotten away from that yet, and so we don't show any love to the poor, and they become bitter, and we are heading in a direction that I can only do my part to encourage young people and hope that, you know, they will see the ambitions in themselves. I always take this medium to say this, that, you know, the world is about propaganda and the best news that is put out there. And so for me, my propaganda and best news to put out there is Jamaica is a small country. Like all things that are gems and come with value, is the least you are, is the more rare you are, and when you are rare, you become endangered, and when you're endangered, you need to be protected. So for me, all Jamaicans are special, whether you're from uptown, whether you're from downtown, whether you're a male, whether you're a female, whether you're rich or poor, and we have to instill that in every single Jamaican, that we are special, and each and every one of us has something valuable to contribute to the world. And so we have to save each and every one of us so that we personally can have a better society, whether in the diaspora or our home.
I agree, because I remember Bounty Killer made a statement about like not providing a lot of mentors for like the youths in the ghetto, and that's what is needed. I don't like to say ghetto because, you know, it's how we were trained to think ghetto, but he's saying that we need to provide more mentorship, and so people could see there's another way instead of the way that they're used to. Because even if they're trying to combat the crime problem, they have to address that where they're going to, and start with the youths by providing better options, because that's the only way you're gonna attack it. Because even if you get rid of all the guns, more guns gonna come in. You know, like more people don't know how to deal with issues. They get upset. They feel like they need to stab somebody, get a gun. So you have to start within and showing people better example. Because like with you, you've been through it, so you're better able to talk. If have not been through it, they're gonna look at me and say, "You can't talk to me. How can you talk to me? What can happen?" But if you talk to them, they'll get it. They can connect to you and then say, "Oh, you know what? There's a better way. I'll focus more on school, or I'll find a trade," because school is not for everyone. But some people can go to trade school and learn.
School is broad. So let me jump in as the educator to say the traditional schools, the academic focus, right?
Yeah, because people keep saying you have to go UE, you have to go UE. You know, you don't have to go UE. You can go learn a trade.
Yes.
You know, like you could learn nurse, you could learn how to draw blood. You don't have to go nursing school, but you could get a certificate on how. So it's like we just need more mentors and people, instead of just looking at them as just being bad and can't dream. Just do programs, assist them. And even what Buju is doing, talk to them, go out in the community and help them. And this is what I think would help solve some of the crime problem, because we're not taking responsibility. We're saying the government needs to do, the church needs to do, but nobody's looking and say, what can I do within my community? I could help my neighbor. I see the son at home not doing anything, running up and down. Maybe I could talk to the son, why are you out of school? Why are you not doing this? And help them, guide them.
Right.
We could,
but you wouldn't say why though, Michelle, because once you say why, you're casting some judgment. So you're going to say it would be better if you were doing so and so, you know. Do it in a restorative way. When we, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing this? You know?
Exactly. Or some of them hungry. They say like, I don't eat today. You can, you know, you cook a pot. I remember back in, even though my mom does it, she cook, she give, you know, like giving back. The belly full, they go to school, you know, like help. I can't afford the book. Help. Can't buy uniform. Help. And then help the community. And so we can help the crime problem that is plaguing us. That's just my opinion.
I agree 100%.
For me, you know, with the inmate issue, I wonder, because you got some people out of prison, right? But then these people have been there for a long time. Did you get to find their families? How did they get assimilated back into community? What happened?
No, their families are there. Their families with George mother fought for him to get out of jail till the day she died.
Yeah.
And his niece is the one who's taking care of him now. They people have families. People, Jamaican people are loving. I don't know. That's why it's sometimes I'm confused with the narrative that people put out. For instance, yes, there is crime and violence, but I maintain it is something that doesn't happen by chance. It's always targeted. It's always you trouble me, I trouble you. People don't randomly. I saw a video, people shoveling snow, and the next thing they kill their neighbors. And they said, oh, it's a murder suicide. If it ever happened on the sandy beaches of Jamaica, it would be, don't go to Jamaica because Jamaica is so violent. Yes. And we create narratives that needs to be changed and so that people can combat crime head on.
So our mentality is colonial, you're saying?
Yes. And we have a tendency to behave as if Black people are savages. And I have to say it like this because if we are angry, we are animals. When other people are angry, they are upset.
Yeah.
And so we have to be able to culturally deal with what is going on in this society. We can't discard young people when they're misbehaving in class. You kick them out of the class, or when they don't finish high school the same time as their peers, they count you out. We have to change the narrative. We have to educate. We have to do what Michelle said. When people are hungry, you don't have to always give them money. You can give them food.
Yeah.
We have to go back to community living. We have to come back to community interventions. We have to rely on the educators to teach in their capacity, and don't leave it all on them. But we can't leave it all on them.
There's something wrong though, because a lot of people, right, who were living in what Michelle regarded as ghetto, right?
Yes.
And they get an opportunity to come out.
Yes.
And they go into higher ranks. They seem to take take on the role of the people who are
the oppressors.
The oppressors.
Yes, of course. I'm gonna let Michelle speak and then
No. I'm just saying I feel like they have arrived.
That's okay. See, she said what I'm saying. Because let me tell you this now, and I always say this, but I can take the beat up on the thing. Listen, if it's one thing, when I do speak to young people, and we mustn't be afraid to say, if we're from the ghetto, we're from the ghetto. I don't know what's sensitive about saying ghetto. Ghetto exists. Garrisons exist. If you're from the garrison, you're from the garrisons. But what I've realized, and I've had this conversation with them, maybe, and I don't know, I have an internal locus of control and an ambition and a drive. But I was cultured from a mother and a father and a family that my father is from the ghetto, but he came out of the ghetto, but he always reminds you that he's there. And so you have the humility. But I wasn't from the ghetto, and so I don't have the ghetto mentality, but I also don't have an inferiority complex.
Yes.
Neither to white people, neither to people who are rich. So you can't frighten me with money. You can't frighten me with color. I don't suffer from colorism. I think the darker you are, the more superior you ought to be. That's just me in terms of how I understand the world. Now, persons who, and I teach them sometimes at the university, and they're trying hard. They come into the law school. Sometimes they don't have the money. They try, you help them, you find scholarships for them, and they become lawyers. And sometimes as the day they become a lawyer, they start to say those people down there. And they run into certain offices and they're ready to say, oh, those people are out of control. Like your granny not still in the ghetto. or your boot did lean and you get a little blind and you turn a politician. All of a sudden you become the prime minister, and all of a sudden those people need to be locked up. So, your mother is a helper, your father is a Chinaman. All of a sudden you become the minister of something and you want to lock up everybody and call state of emergency. And you forget, say you're black because you have little tiny blood in you.
That is
so
true.
You're different from them. Like you don't remember, say your mother is a helper. Come on, man. Come on, and go read the Bible if you don't believe me. Read the Bible. Moses' mother was a helper and he did better than Him did better than Pharaoh, because why? Him humility, him understand who God is. But you don't just get up and persecute just so you don't want to address your reality.
Well,
Yeah.
we have another gentleman on the line as he's an attorney also. Mr. Ewan Simpson. I love having you, Isat. Ewan, could you come on? Yeah, there you are, and you have on the right clothes. Oh my God!
Absolutely.
It's Reggae Month. But we were here talking about Buju Banton, and I want you to jump in because we have Isat here, and we kind of finish with the discussion, I know, but I'm glad that you came because I never think about it, that you are also in the music business, and
That's
this
right.
affects you. The fact that Buju has been denied his application for foundation affects you too, because you're right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, I sometimes try not to get involved in things that don't involve me.
I don't think Isat is going to agree with you at all.
No, but let me tell you. No, but let me tell you. There are lanes in this thing, you see. And one of the challenges is that when I speak with several hats from time to time, and it's not because I have on a cap now.
Yes.
But when I speak with the attorney's hat, you see, on this matter, Isat is the expert on this matter. my area, I have to make sure I stay in my lane, you know, because I can get mixed up in some things. But when it comes down to,
it's not that we don't understand. We understand.
yeah. So no, but what I want to say though is that a lot of Jamaicans at different levels, and I don't know if it's even a peculiarly Jamaican problem, don't understand or don't give enough regard to the fact that artists, creative people are providing a service and are presenting an opportunity for industry. So
Yes.
they will like what Buju does, and they will like his songs, and they will, but as far as they are concerned, at the end of the day, it is frivolous. And you can do without it. So for them, it's easy for them to say, oh, chap, foundation for what? So they're gonna make noise and jump up and down and whatever. And suddenly,
You must stay in lane.
Correct. So it's a larger problem than just, and it was interesting what Isat was saying earlier about not remembering that your mother was a helper, your father is a mechanic, and all of these things. Other people forget these things, but and because they cross a particular threshold and they suddenly become somebody, and that somebody forgets that they were not always somebody, you know.
Yes.
But, and it colors how, because you'd be surprised to know that some of those persons are the ones that close the door fastest.
Yes.
Yes.
Truth.
So
Preach.
it's just one of them things, you know. But I wanted to broaden the discussion to the issue of industry and how we see entertainment as an industry and entertainment practitioners as business people.
Yes.
Because I like to use the example of the Buju effect when I talk about the backward and forward linkages from entertainment. I like to speak to what happened in Kingston when Buju had the Long Walk to Freedom concert.
Oh, yes.
In the National Stadium.
Yes.
Not very many concerts are kept in the National Stadium. Right? And not very many attempts at filling the National Stadium actually work.
Oh.
And that proved that entertainment can in fact engage everybody. All the people who are too nice and bossy to say that they are hustlers were offering people Airbnb room in their houses.
Yes.
All the people who are who's who were happy to be sipping coffee in the hotel because all the other who's had come down for the concert.
Yes.
So I'm just saying all the hotel rooms were full, all the Airbnb options were full. People were making fly-by-night Airbnbs. All the transportation providers had work. The airports were full. So taxis were rolling. Everybody was buying new clothes. The banks
You make a good point here.
Those who are so snobby about this dirty music and this.
Hold on. Ewan, here goes. The same people with up on the board must have been fighting to get a picture with Buju too.
Absolutely. And so all sorts of people at different levels of what we call stinkability. Right?
So Buju must stay in their lane. That's what they're saying. Stay in your lane. Right?
Correct.
Oh my God.
So the thing is that they have decided what your lane is.
Yes.
I mean, the truth is, Usain gets that as well. So it's not just for musicians or performing artists. Yeah. Even though Usain is a performing artist, what you see on the track is a performance, and a lot of people don't accept that either. But that's another discussion, right?
Yes, yes.
They have decided what your lane is, and even though today is Bob Marley's birthday, happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday.
Even though we like to put it up on a pedestal, and Louis Vuitton made a big boo-boo this week, and that is another interesting story. But
still sold a lot of that stuff though.
Absolutely. No, but listen up. I don't even want to get into that, because that again is three different parts of my brain. It is the cultural studies part of my brain, the legal part of my brain, and the entertainment part of my brain.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's three things, and not the three of them necessarily agree. But we talk about that, right? I'm just saying, we like to put up Bob when it is convenient.
Yes.
As the flagship personality of Jamaica.
Yes.
And reggae represents Jamaica. And Jamaica is reggae. Only at the times when it is cool to do so.
So what you think Bob would get a foundation in Jamaica? Or does he have one?
We have one.
Oh.
But you see, probably if he was alive, he wouldn't.
If he was alive, it would be a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my God.
So we have to understand the dynamic of how the thing works.
You see, I won't be afraid to say it, Ewan. If Buju, there's several things. People always like Rasta is limited to reggae music.
Yes.
How dare you combat Buju Banton with your business degree? How will our charity function when we can't hire you to come and fill a stadium for our charities? We can't give you a charity. All of these things are improper considerations. That's all I will say.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's an interest. Well, I like the term improper consideration. And it is improper depending on who is giving the consideration. But yeah,
beautiful.
That's the challenge I have though, because we have to bear in mind that the power dynamic is always at play. And sometimes it is, we see one who yield to that and who allow the stereotypes that surround that power dynamic to continue. So we have to think about it very seriously. How do we support ourselves and each other in industry? Because at the end of the day, money talk,
Well, yeah, agree. I'm going to ask you a question, both of you, because this is really important.
Yeah.
Does the media, in their writings, in their scripting, promote these type of feelings that exude from our people? Does the article that she read this morning, what could it have been written differently to extract a different, more positive feeling for people rather than negative?
Well, you want me to go first?
Go first.
It is very interesting because you have different types of media with different motives. You have different personalities in media with their own individual biases. So I don't want to use media in a blanket sense.
Okay.
But what I can say is that there are in fact operatives in the management and control of media who have a duty to maintain the status quo. That's how they get their salary.
Jesus, that's strong. That's very strong.
Yeah, it is just a part of the reality. Now, how we work around that is another story. How we find a way to ensure that our message and the positive images of ourselves remain, or at least get preeminence more and more in a society where people like us are supposed to be the dominant,
Right.
at least in numbers.
You're too dark. You're too dark.
Yes.
Look, the two of them too dark.
Yes.
I need a course in etiquette from you.
Bleaching.
I'm arranging for a small fee.
Bleaching. Bleaching.
Yeah, but I'm just saying we have to find a way. We have to find a way. Sometimes we have to do it like Isat and kick down the door without I not care. and then sometimes.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What?
And sometimes we have to find a way to use a hairpin and pick the lock. And sometimes we have to walk through the window. But it's about different kinds of strategies that we have to employ at the same time to ensure that we get the objective. And the objective is not to show them, say them a fool, you know. The objective is to have us realize our full potential.
Think about that for a little bit more, okay? Because I want to see how fear, what you just said to us, you know, how fear is it to the general populace, the people who are especially at the lower socioeconomic ladder, okay? Is that fear? But I want, is that some comment on the media?
I want to give the comment.
Kick down the door.
No, what I was saying is I want to give the comment after Dr. Davis Smith makes her comment.
All right.
Let me tell you why this is important. She has a plethora of young minds that look to her, and I'm sure she have these conversations. So I would like to be the fly on the wall.
I kind of feel like he just bounced down my front door.
I learned that from Mr. Simpson.
Studio around here. But I quite understand as I listened to Ewan talk about, you know, the employment categories that just stemmed out of one event. The dancers, the singers, the musicians, the band leaders, the show promoters, you know, the personal business manager, tour managers, because everybody was giving tour to every flipping place in and around Kingston.
Correct.
Over that weekend and throughout month, you know, the disc jockeys, the radio, TV shows. And then I heard his comment about the media and maintaining the status quo within sectors of the media. It is frightening. And Isat, I hear you. I've made a note for myself that a mentoring program certainly is where we need to go. But I think that rather than the hypothetical of, yes, we need a mentoring program and yes, we're going to roll this out, we need to be very specific. What is a small win that we want? What is it that I want for my group that sits in Williamsfield when they come in now and I have 100 and something young men who come in and say, well, Doc, what go on today? What is the conversation and the objective for a short period is more what I want to get before we begin to say we're going to change the status quo. We can't just get up and change the status quo. We want to change the family operatives, how they speak to each other at home, how the parent has a conversation is critical for me, which is why I said to Michelle, don't start by saying why you don't go to school. Ask what happened. So I want to change that we speak in a restorative way. And I try to practice that. I don't ask my kids why this, why that. I say, what happened? What happened today? You know, get their input and then together we can come up with a solution. Even at the end of the day is my solution we're going to execute, you know, but there's a participation in the process and people feel, yeah, I belong. Michelle or Leo going in to come and sit and talk and say, hey, why you never go, boy, why you not go to school? Negative. I'm going to become defensive. I'm not going to have a conversation with you. Hey, what happened? Yesterday I saw you in uniform, but today I don't see you in uniform. What happened, man? I tell him a story last week and the boy come to school and him don't have on the uniform and him pants way down past him thing. And I said, Draw it up because you never have on no brand name. Him look at me and him laugh and him pull up him pants, but it could have been a different conversation. Is restorative approach for me is that I am into restorative practices, and this is where we need to start.
So you're saying that the person writing those articles must use a restorative approach to writing the articles too?
Well, if the person is practicing the restorative way, the person is going to be just and fair and equitable in what they say.
Right.
Okay, but that's
we
not.
Don't have to, you're going to be just and fair. Blam, done.
All right.
Okay, in my opinion, based on watching, and I always tell people and they usually laugh. Sometimes I go to Pink Wall. I don't know if you know about Pink Wall. What's really happening in Jamaica. Because to me, the media oftentimes write articles just for a hit or just this picture they want to create. Because the narrative is usually different from what is the reality. The reason I go to Pink Wall sometimes is I actually see what's happening in the community. Like you will see people expressing, you know, somebody died in their community, you know, the war or whatever, or people not being able to provide for themselves food. So you know what's happening, you know, people suffering, this is what's happening. But the media will paint this picture as if everything is dandy, like no crime, we are overreacting, everything is perfect. So I always say like the media, especially you could tell who is for what, because if I know there's an issue with one person, I know which media outlet to go to. Because that's their opinion. They will paint this person based on who they prefer. So you can always tell the media support. And that shouldn't be. They should be impartial to me and providing information for society for us to draw our own conclusions. But everybody
Where
is.
does that actually happen though?
What is that?
Where does that actually happen?
It happens.
It happens, you know. But what it's not in the front of us because
it happened on Fox. What I'm talking about?
It happens on there.
So
go ahead, Isat.
There goes the answer, because here's the reality. Take it. I don't know if Mr. Simpson is going to agree with this one, but take it from a man that has seen. When I read the newspaper, sometimes I have to look in the mirror and say, "It's me them talking about." It can't be. It could never be. Like, I'm nowhere where they put it or how the narrative that they create. So I will say this: the media.
You need to appreciate, Isat, that you are a mythical character.
Thank you.
And
I always
has a
saw
stake
that,
in painting who you are.
It's growing on me. It's growing on me. But I would say this: what we are doing now is what the media is. You have to laugh at it. Any publicity is good publicity in my mind. But I will say this: if I want to have a real good on the corner laugh, I will take up the Star. I will say, man vex said the dumpling tough, so I'm stab up in gal. If I want to hear that the country is going to tip over, the same story, I'll just go to the Observer. Those savages down in the ghetto have killed themselves, and the society is deteriorating because man has stabbed man over dumpling from way before me born. Nothing has changed, right? If I want to get very political, I'll take up the Gleaner and it will paint a different picture. So I will hear that if I say what the government doing is wrong, I'm a PNP. If I say, oh wow, Andrew should be lauded for this, for all the beautiful roads, I will hear I'm a Labourite. So I'll take up that particular newspaper. If I want to know what's really going on with the aristocrats and when them doing what they're not supposed to be doing, I will go on Pink Wall and it will say distinguished gentleman found in guest house and should not be there while drinking, whatever. So I understand how the media works. What I will say is that the media practitioners have a social responsibility to disseminate information in a way that people can understand. For instance, we are going through the COVID pandemic. I have to say, I have to speak on it, and I don't know, to be honest with you, if we're doing well or we're not doing well. I just know yesterday was the first time we had 263 persons tested positive for COVID, and I'm saying, well, I'll know I don't get a test yet, so I don't know. I don't know. I've never met somebody who got a test, so I don't know I don't really know what's going on, but I'm doing all I need to do and sanitize and do whatever. and I do understand how the media operates. And if, like Michelle said it, if they like you, believe me, you can do no wrong. If they don't like you, you can do no right. And if they like you, but they like somebody better than you, and you go up against them, I'm sorry for you. Because they're gonna done you, and then they won't even give you a chance to respond. And yeah, you have to just you're back off abroad. But in terms of the media is so powerful, and I don't think that we appreciate that in terms of social responsibility. For instance, and I have to raise this here because this is my opportunities to do that. The homeless persons died, and our prime minister came and said a deportee did it. He failed to mention the fact that it's a mentally ill person. We have we don't do well with mental illness. He also didn't mention the fact that last year his minister, Mr. Mackenzie, closed all the homeless shelters and said we weren't taking anybody else because of COVID. So lo and behold, if I had Duke Street for myself as a homeless man, because that was my house, all of a sudden all these other homeless people coming on Duke Street, I'm going to fight for my territory. So we create our own disasters, and then we go and say that the country is the problem, not us. And the media puts it in another way, you know?
Media doesn't see the truth. They don't see the
Never.
truth.
And it makes no sense, and we're not we are deceived many times by the media.
A lot of times.
And so we have to find ways to change that, or simply understand that change the narrative, control the narrative, or appreciate that media persons, them just selling paper, and so the sensational headlines is just that.
It's okay for us to do that, because we can decipher that type of stuff, but the person in the general,
not a lot of people.
They're seeing it. They're following the paper, the tone of the paper. So if the paper says this, that's what they believe, and that's unfortunate.
It is sad, because sometimes when they're jumping up, I say, is you getting hurt? It's you getting hurt. It's affecting you. I don't even realize the curse that I'm like, but it's affecting you. But in regards to controlling the media and the information, that's what I like about the artists now that are on social media. Usually when you hear statements being made, you always see them making statements on either their, social media. So you kind of get an understanding of what's happening. So they're controlling it to me, and more need to go there to express themselves, because sometimes the media does paint a negative picture. Because even when people are falling in love with Bounty Killer all over again. It's because he's expressing himself, and like if something happens, he goes to his page first. Even with Buju Banton, he controlled it. They would have published something different, but if he never posted it on his page, more people wouldn't be sympathetic to his cause and understanding of his cause. So he's trying to control it somewhat to me.
I know. Well, for both Michelle and Ewan, Fox has parted company with Lou Dobbs, so that's a good. Yeah. That's okay.
They got sued.
The person who was responsible for all of the bad comments or the negative comments against the media house that is also sued. Both of them are sued. They parted companies. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that, but
that's called saving face, though.
What you call a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes.
Yes. Or if you want to use a more legal term, it is an attempt at mitigation.
Yes. Which is too late.
Too late, a little too late. I just call it saving face.
It's already done.
Oh my God! But them done Lou Dobbs now, because I don't think Lou Dobbs can get another job on a regular. I shouldn't say that.
Somebody will hire him to be newsroom manager or something.
True. Yes, that's true.
Or he can start a podcast.
Or give it 8 months and his show will come
Yes.
back firing
Yeah,
right on
exactly.
Fox.
All right.
So this is too much promotion for Fox here. Let us move beyond.
I know.
I wonder who mentioned Fox though.
Oh, Lord have mercy, one. Ciao.
We forget.
So I know that Ewan came here to talk about Reggae Month and Bob Marley Day. And I know that this means a lot to Isat. And I want to know his response to Bob Marley, iconic Bob Marley, his response to what Bob Marley has done since his death, and how does that translate into Reggae Month for you, and also the cultural part. How does music fall? You missed out that cultural part, Ewan. You were saying reggae music is a business and economics and stuff. But then there's also the cultural part of it, that it has become. Buju's concert was not just about the money part, but it was also a cultural affair, so creating a culture that not the creating, but enhancing and advancing a culture that we have developed over the years.
I will put it all in context after Isat responds.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this is the hot seat for me, but let me tell you something. Bob Marley is, and I'm not taking away from any other artist that made contribution, but Bob Marley is the face of reggae. Bob Marley has allowed us to preserve that which is ours. If not for Bob Marley, it would have been taken away from us a long time ago. People will say that reggae it doesn't belong to us, but we can feel somewhat as if we still have it, because when you go on the iTunes, after everybody do everything, Bob Marley goes back to #1. Bob Marley's music is timeless. As you can see, Sirius XM radio, they gave Bob Marley, the station, instead of, they removed the joint and gave him the slot. And so now he has his own station, and rightly so. His music has done so much for this country. It has done so much for the Jamaican identity. You show up and somebody says to you, "One love." When it's time, when Black Lives Matter was marching, they was talking about get up, stand up. Everything, culturally and consciousness, they relate back to Bob Marley. It doesn't take away from the contributions of, even my father, Big Youth, the Wailers with him.
Big Youth is your father?
You didn't know this, sir? You're not watching. You don't read the news. You don't watch the
Christ
news.
Almighty.
I am not only twice convicted, sir.
Oh my God.
My procreation came from Big Youth.
I did not know that. Oh my God. I grew up loving Big Youth. Jesus, I pray thee. I mean, he was on stage a couple of nights ago.
Yes.
Why do the Eden Range and it? Oh man, the people imagine. Oh my God.
Yeah,
all
man.
right, now Leo, control yourself.
Yeah, so I must say that, and the thing about it, which I have to say, is that Universal and Chris Blackwell, Island Records, they had controlled the business that is reggae. So imagine and this is where Ewan can comment when I'm done. Imagine what contribution Bob Marley could have made, even in his death, to Jamaica, if he was controlling the business and reaping the very thing that Buju wants to do in terms of controlling his music, controlling the entertainment, the production, and the charities and all of that. And they're saying you are not to do it because they want other people to do it for you. And you don't have the ability to cut out the middleman. But I will say Reggae Month is very important to Jamaica, the Jamaican identity. Don't let the politicians fool you. We only have reggae music, sports, and tourism. We just COVID allowing us to find our way outside of that. And it sounds it sounds that way, but if you don't believe me, go and check it. There is a man who is locked up in prison that makes more money than people in the free world. His name is Vibes Cartel, and he regardless of what you have to say and all that they would have done to keep him in prison or whether you believe or whatever, musically and from the business aspect, it says what the power of our music is and what the ability to transcend the very thing we're talking about, the getting out of the ghetto from our shore, our talents, from our expression and from our identity. So for me, listen to me, there's nothing I can say that hasn't been said already about Bob Marley and what his contribution is. But equally, we must also remember that the artists who are not as brown as Bob Marley, they would have done a lot as well. And we must try to change where things are only palatable when you're a certain complexion and when you can be presented because you're either dead or constrained.
That's kind of controversial the way you just said a while ago, because when Bob was in his, in the 60s, when Bob was making ska music, and in the 70s when he was making reggae music, his complexion was pretty high compared to everybody else.
Yes.
And would Island Records have? Why wouldn't Island Records would have picked up Alton Ellis and bring him out there just the same way that they did with Bob Marley? Because I do believe that Island Records has a lot to do with the tours that he did and the kind of embeddedness that is out there in the foreign countries around the world. It has to do with his start back in the 70s of traveling to the various countries and the African countries and the European countries. And that's where people started to find Bob. So I wonder if his music is different than the music that people like Ken Booth and the other guys, are you wondering?
You're wondering that, Leo?
Wondering, yeah.
You can't wonder that. Bob Marley's music is very spiritual, very, very. It transcends time, it transcends space, and we must not take it away from Bob Marley and the Wailers. I'm saying they were very disciplined. That is what is lacking with even our young artists now. Nobody won't say it. Rather than they say that they're imbeciles, or they're indisciplined and they have no guidance.
All right. I'm glad.
But probably more than that they have no guidance. It's not so much that they're indisciplined, but if I can get away with not doing something, then it doesn't mean I'm indisciplined. There's no guidance.
No, they're indisciplined. It cannot be that you was balling that you're hungry last week and now you can make money and you want to go buy a gun and end up in jail. Come on, man. At least
I need guidance. What I need is guidance, is not indiscipline, because these are the ideals that I have yearned for, and this is what caused me to reach out to whatever it is to achieve the things that I want to achieve. It's not indiscipline, it's a lack of guidance.
But in whatever way you can, right? I'm waiting for Ewan because
Ewan.
Ewan.
You're right, doctor.
Oh boy, this is the can of worms now. But Isat presented two important sides of it. Yeah. It's a little unfortunate that we have to be discussing colorism in the context of Bob Marley, because there is value in both sides of the discussion. Mm-hmm. The marketing side, there is no doubt that the presentation, the physical presentation of Bob assisted in the ease with which his message became global. Mm-hmm. There is no doubt about that.
Okay.
And it helped that he wore jeans well.
Fashionable. Louis Vuitton would love you for that. Continue.
Correct. So it helped. But we do not want to take away from the fact of the substance of his material.
True.
Which is also unquestionable.
accurate.
And if he was singing what some of the people now are singing, him could have wear jeans tighter than pants.
And it wouldn't make it.
It wouldn't make it.
Agreed.
Right?
Timeless. Yes.
And he
I love this guy.
and no matter who it is that is selling him and selling him globally, after you've sold it and people have bought it, if you don't have anything to keep selling,
Yeah, now go share.
no, but share. And Bob Marley's music has proven since he died in 1981
Yes.
that it can last, it can outlast any system.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
So it takes me back to the comment regarding the Buju effect on
Yeah.
that particular day.
Yeah.
And yes, we're talking culture, but you see, culture is a very dynamic thing.
It is.
It continues to change over time, and it really is just a representation of our systems and beliefs and practices and so on as they are modified over time.
Yes.
Remember that Bob was a little dirty foot Rasta boy, as brown as he was.
As a matter of fact, yes, he was.
as brown as he was, right? So, and there are other people who will, I mean, Toots was also that.
Yes.
The only one that probably wasn't considered dirty foot was Jimmy Cliff.
Jimmy Cliff, yes.
and there's another discussion around
Yes, that's true.
right? But certainly, Peter Tosh was the dirty mouth Rasta boy.
Absolutely.
And then because he was a little too much on the dark, but
he made he still made his mark, didn't he?
Absolutely, but so has Bunny Wailer,
Yes.
so has Burning Spear.
Yes.
Then if we go to Yellow Man, we start to talk a different conversation. But the point I'm making is we need to look at the thing in a fulsome way. There are different things that will allow for better marketing. Somebody mentioned indiscipline, somebody mentioned training and guidance. The truth is that my challenge is, what I think the problem is the word ignorance.
It's very big.
A lot of people don't know that Bob Marley had an artistic director.
Oh, hold on, before you go, ignore, you have to explain ignorant, because some of us, me thinks that the word ignorant means I'm a bex. Yeah.
No, that's ignorant, sir. Right? Don't be ignorant.
Yeah, correct. You have to give us the definition there. All right.
Good. So ignorance, or as my friend said, a lack of guidance,
Yes.
lack of training, lack of knowledge,
Mhm.
dearth of information.
Yes.
Part of the challenge is that people don't understand. A lot of the people in the industry, practicing in the industry, have learned all the bad things from the people before them. So somebody will tell you that, oh, me and Bob used to par, and we used to sing down so and so. And suddenly that person becomes an expert on the music industry. But if you ask them why they never became a
Bob Marley.
they won't tell you that when Bob was up rehearsing in the night or in studio until 6 a.m., that them were asleep. And then be gone a gal bush. Right?
Yes.
They never tell you that. And they won't tell you that when Bob subjected himself to the marketing strategies of Ireland, that them say them not allow no white man
to do that.
Yes. So we have to bear in mind that it's a very layered thing, that we can't just use one thing to describe it.
Yes, it's true.
Use one thing to describe
It's true. I asked this question of Shaggy, the same thing that you're talking about.
Yes.
What made the difference? He said, boy, when I leave this country, when I'm in Jamaica, I chat patois all day long, and nobody can understand me sometimes, when me in my thing. But when I go to a foreign land, my language changes and I speak more English. I don't stay with the patois as I am here. But when I go to America, I just speak the language that they can understand. When I'm being interviewed, I speak English. But he says most of the guys who, when they leave Jamaica, they can't speak English for other people to understand. And so therefore, no one wants to interview them because they can't sell that the marketing part is gone. Would you agree that?
That is that is true, and that is not quite true.
Okay.
And let me tell you why it is true and it is not quite true. But I mean, because there is value, Bob's material was comprehensible. You could hear the English in what he was singing, and his diction was impeccable.
Right.
For the time. But at the same time, an interview with Bob was also very interesting.
Okay,
it was a paradox of parables. Yeah. And sometimes, and if you never understood Jamaican, sometimes you couldn't understand what he was saying.
Yes.
But the fact is that his music, the product that he was really selling, carried enough of the message.
Yes.
And then now his use of Jamaican made him sexy, made him interesting. The problem with a lot of other artists who we want to compare is that they are neither comprehensible in their music nor in their interview.
There you go.
Right?
Yes.
And then the other thing is, what is the message that they are selling? What is the product that is being sold?
Yes.
Is it something that enough people can identify with to make them globally appealing?
Yes.
But that is the other question, because people will buy things, but after a while, I mean, many things have come and gone, right?
Yeah, it's a novelty.
So what is it that you are selling? What is it that you are selling? And that is a part of the reason why I like to use it. And people will say that I am being very, very capitalist in my approach to what is culture and creative and whatever. But I'm not being capitalist. I tell people, you tell me one other system that has worked globally, and I will use it. But right? But all I'm saying is, it's the world functions on demand and supply. The sea functions that way. The rivers function that way. It is a system of physics that makes gravity work. Yes. Right?
Yes.
I'm just saying, demand and supply is the thing. What are you giving?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a demand? Are you filling that demand? Mm-hmm. Right? So when we talk about the Buju effect of that day, I'm talking about culture, but I'm talking about culture that people are consuming and that people are presenting.
Okay, I got you. So you want it to be marketable in the sense that you make money, even though there's a culture, but let's make money on it, right?
What is the meaning of the word sustainable?
Right. Money. Pay for it all the time.
I mean, if somebody can show me another way to sustain excessive resources, physical resources, then I will take it.
That's good.
I have a question, just not to cut you guys off. With what's happening, and I see like people from the entertainment industry are trying to petition the government to create changes, that would allow them to make a little money during these times. What would be your suggestion to these artists as avenues to, make money, like how things have changed in regards to, we can go in a space, really have a party or whatever. So what would be your recommendation to artists that are trying to, still make a money?
That's for me?
Yeah, for you.
I've been making several recommendations. Part of the challenge is that we are also very resistant to change. Because most of us always considered netball a girl sport. The concept of pivoting is not something we do well.
Everybody's pivoting.
You're an internet bad man. You're an internet bad man. Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you. I've been saying to people, some people just jumped on their Instagram and them Facebook and just started to give away everything for free, just so they could stay in front of the camera as COVID began. And I said to some people, just take your time, man, go easy. Because what you are giving away for free is like somebody who's a farmer, and suddenly something happens in the market and you just start you not only give away your produce, you start give away the land, you tell people, come live on it, and you bring everything, and you You just all sort of strange things. They make them build a road through it and all kind of something. And I'm saying, this is your product that you live by. So there's nothing wrong with giving a discount. There's nothing wrong with giving away some of it for free. But if it's a wide open door, you open your supermarket and say, okay, it's COVID. Everybody who want come take. And then you stop it again. Left. And you say, everybody who want come take. How is it going to replenish itself eventually?
No sustainability.
Nobody's going to come buy sustainability. That's the thing, you know. So I have said repeatedly, we need to find ways, and the ways are there, of canning our content, producing our content for digital consumption. I like to use the example of Psy, that Gangnam Style song. Psy made more money from the digital distribution of Gangnam Style than he could have made from traveling anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. Right? And that was 10 years ago. So I am saying, no, we have COVID, but the template is there already and the facilities exist. We just like to be in a crowd where we can smell the weed and we can bounce upon people and we can see a friend, and that's fine. It's a part of who we are. We are tactile people. We like to greet and be in a space and smell all sorts of aromas, some pleasant, some not. Right? But
Ewan, I don't mean to cut you. When you say pivot, you know, and you see you're going down a place, you realize that when people have to formalize that which they do, because they're doing so much nonsense, there's nothing to digitize. I'm just putting it out there.
I wouldn't even say it that way, no.
No, because a lot of the artists, the only reason why I like them is because they make noise and they have gimmicks in terms of the live performance and their style.
Yes.
Yeah, but
when it comes to lyrical content, presentation, it's just really not gonna fly if you just put it on a record. So
but a whole heap of gimmicks globally selling up. It's just how quickly them can put the money to good use and make themselves comfortable. Because the gimmicks not gonna last long. But there are people who are selling gimmicks all over the world. So I don't have an issue with those who sell gimmicks, you know, because it provides variety. Because some people want gimmicks. Yeah. Right? In the same way that you
as long as someone is willing to buy it, as long as someone is willing
somebody's willing to correct. But don't sit down. So you normally walk around and sell your gimmicks in a live space. And now the live space them shut down. Find a way to can the gimmicks and sell it. Because the truth is that what Sumfest used to be able to sell to 15 and 20,000 people in a Montego Bay, it can now sell to 15 and 20 million people across the world.
Yes.
Right? And I'm saying, if we don't take the time, to put structure around it, to make it make sense, right? If we don't take the time to put the facilities in place so that the lighting is right, so that the sound is good, right? If we don't take the time to do all of that, then that is why people are dead for hungry.
All right, so who's going to speak to Diane's?
You have a visitor.
Say that again.
You have a visitor.
No, it's one of my little ones.
All right. So to speak to Diane's thought, because I think also some of the artists can use this downtime to be a little bit more creative in making their business. Or maybe this is just what reggae music is about. Maybe if you put too much creativity or too much standard and too much
no, you need to stop that one. I need to stop that one before you go there. I need to stop that one. I am not going to accept that.
Listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate right here. Okay, so
I don't even know. We're not giving the devil no due today.
That's right. Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Not on the day that we celebrate the birthday.
All right.
Entertainment entrepreneur.
All right, sir. Done. Argument done. Oh my God.
I want to comment though, having listened to you on that. it really comes back to what I'm saying. There's a lack of guidance. There really is a lack of guidance. There's no recanning that is going to take place because I'm sitting in my corner busting a weed and then ta-da, if I repackage, I need to have that guidance. There's no structure that I can go to. What is that structure that me as a little man who bust two tune, make it big, see me on TikTok for 2 days, and I want to do something else? Where do I go as an artist doing songs? Where do I go? Where's that structure that ecosystem that will support me, that will coach me, that will help me to package my thing? Just tell me, as a little man, because there are lots of young men out there who walk around with something. As soon as I say, what you doing? I'm saying music, and him turned him phone and he can play me 2 pieces. But what happens to it after that? Where do I take him?
Is he talented?
Well, I don't know him. Say I'm talented.
No, well, where is that
structure that is going to help him to determine whether or not he is?
Well, you know, that is a part of the challenge that we're having. And let me tell you why. The industry itself is a little resistant to formalization, because formalization in the minds of players in the industry means all sorts of things, but also means taxes. And that is a bad word. That is an expletive. And is right? So you have organizations.
But you don't have no cloth at the end of it. Go ahead.
It may have cloth or it may have other kinds of fabric. But what I'm saying is that I chair an organization called JARIA. One of the hardest things to do is to get people to coalesce around the ideals and the idea of being a part of an organization, so they have your information, and we talk as a collective, and we deal in standards and all of those things, because everybody have their own version. Now, of how you make it to the top. I, for example, have sat and listened to one of Jamaica's top performers who is still alive, an elder in the business. I went to a show, stood backstage, and heard him counseling a group of persons. That voice training a foolishness. And if him baby mother ever send for him daughter go a one more voice training class in left hand.
But you did say that you're not gonna talk about that a while ago because today is Bob Marley Day. Isn't that where?
No, I'm saying it in the context of the discussion.
Okay.
No. I'm talking about the.
No man, I'm kidding with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. we talk about where do we go for the information.
Yes.
Right. So we have organizations. We have, for example, and I must say, government is not all bad, you know. There are structures.
Yeah.
There is JBDC. There's JAMPRO. There is the JCDC, right? And they provide training and guidance opportunities, but people also see it. Thankfully, this last year, Minister Grange was able to get Toots, Buju, and
Freddie McGregor,
Michigan, and all these people to participate in a festival song competition. So people can understand that it's not amateurism.
Yes.
Good. There are spaces within which you can go and get guidance and come through. But the problem is that there are people who are telling you that it's foolishness. And what you talk about? There's an artist I used to work with who come to me one day quarreling that another artist came to write a song with him. And she carried paper to come write up. What kind of foolishness about paper? In complaining about paper. And I'm like, what? Yes. That's called a writer's agreement though. Right. And then we don't just make the song and the song bust. We don't share it up. Share it up how? You know what I'm saying?
Just a
we don't like structure. So when I said to him, but she's doing the right thing, of course, we parted company shortly thereafter. But at the end of people have to be prepared to just speak the naked truth about the challenges that we have and about our abhorrence of structure. Yes. We don't like formalization. Somebody has told us, and let me tell you something. I think that it's a remnant of slavery though.
Well, we did.
Like some of the organized.
Yeah, man. Yes, it is.
Because if we are creative, as creative as we are, and organize on top of it. A problem for the rest of the world.
Yes, it is. It was.
So I feel like somebody wire us to not be able to pull our. It's like the story in the Bible.
Put it all together.
No, but just a quick comment. I follow Prodigy. That's how his name is pronounced. Prodigy.
Prodigy.
And I see him like have artists under him and he's trying to get it structured. I'm not know if you follow him too. But like he has an artist, he mentors them, but then he got signed to a record deal where he's trying to, show them the ropes and everything. And like everything he does, he brings them along with every project he. So like, although I'm not sure I see other artists doing the same thing where they find.
No man, that happened long time. That happened long time. I mean, the whole line from Shabba to Buju to all those people. I mean, Bounty Killer was one of the biggest mentors in his time. Yeah. People have come through camps, camps.
They have,
but the problem is that sometimes, and I have to be very politically correct and very agile in making this statement. It is not everybody who has a camp who teaches the right principles.
I think, yes.
And because they were fortunate to get the bus and get biggish, because if the truth is that if you're not talking the kind of money that Michael Jackson and Prince and Bob Marley and so on make, you're not really big yet.
Yes.
So some people have gotten biggish and they suddenly want everybody to do it the way they did it. Now, we're talking about 40 years later. We're talking about a different kind of technology. We're talking about a different appetite in people for music. We're talking about different sensibilities globally. We have to get with it, right? We have to get with it. So people who are teaching us, this me doing at my time. I had a meeting with the Jamaican ambassador to Japan. And we have to be having a discussion around how we try to mold and remold the relationship between Jamaica and Japan because of what happened with some reggae music practitioners when they went there. We know Japanese are very structured in the way they see things and their culture is one of structure. And when we go, we decide, say, no, we did agree, we don't really want the money then no more. Or why him get limousine and me only get one small car? Me now go.
Nice.
And we take them kind of approach to things where at the end of the day, because of ignorance again, and because of lack of structure, we spoil their relationship then, right? So I'm saying somebody has to look at it and see. So somebody now who went to Japan 15 times is going to tell you now, even though they've got 15 times, and every time from 1 to 15, they help to whittle away the relationship. Is going to tell you now who never go, how he must behave when he go Japan, right? That is the structure that is going to be giving teaching, So we have to be very careful. And what we have to do is to try to magnify the organizations and the institutions that can actually provide the guidance that is necessary. Because at the end of the day, is industry. Everybody coming to want a bailout, but nobody wanted to be registered on the e-registry of the ministry, for example. So how we going to know that you're not just a man making furniture who want to say you were an artist?
A singer.
That's how we are. That's how we are. When we're coming from afar, even in the diaspora, we're coming from the diaspora, we don't want to go through the normal process of customs and immigrations.
Yes.
To find an alternate route that they feel that they're in control. I can do this and I can get through easier than if it's for children.
If I can just say one thing, doesn't matter who you are, and this is for the artists if they are listening. There's really no way of getting around education,
None.
Absolutely not.
None.
And you might not have had it between the formative years when you were expected to get it. Yeah. But you must get formal, and when I say formal education, when you hear a man say, "Where shall I come with paper for?" It's because him really can't read,
That's right.
Yeah.
How do we? I am straightforward. So when I come across people who can't read and write, I say, "You can't read and write. You need to go learn."
You say that to them?
Of course. And then upset with you. People are upset with you when you say if the education is basic, you say it's basic, people are upset. if you say somebody you need more than this.
Yeah.
Unlike like my mother, every time she talked to me, she say you need to go on back to school.
Oh God,
And it's not wrong. It's really not wrong, but
I'm not too old, right? You're not too old.
Education is continuing. I learned so much from everybody on this panel today. One would think, you know, there are people who think that you have nothing to teach. My father, as long as he's been in this business, I want to say 50 years and counting. And there are things that my brother can teach. There are things that I can teach him, and he is oftentimes not receptive, but for instance, you're 40, 50 years in the business. What you know about internet? What you know about what you know about registering your music? Yes. What you know about, you don't know it.
Yes.
And it's not even, and they run to lawyers. Sometimes the lawyers don't know it either, but what I really am saying is that education is so important, and we take it for granted. So when you hear me talk about discipline, Ewan mentioned it. Bob Marley was up practicing. He did his rehearsal. Don't get it twisted. All of them in the Wailers can play an instrument.
Absolutely.
All people do know is make noise.
Yes.
They don't want to learn the musical notes on a piano, a guitar, whatever, keyboard. They don't. And they don't want to admit that when they graduate, they got kicked out of school and they never went back. So they can't read and they can't write. I don't want to address it. So if we don't address the problem head on, there's not much growth that's going to come. I can tell you, Mary J. Blige, she was one of you. Everybody knows Mary J. Blige.
Yes, yes.
She went and got her GED. Thank God she got it, because now she was able to read and write, and I can watch her on Ghost. That's the show. She's an actor. She could not have been an actor if she didn't eventually learn to read.
I can read a script.
Yeah, because you get a script and they put it before you, and you can't even get them to the movies. If you, I don't want to call names because I don't know if they're educated or not, but how sad it would be, let me call one name. If a nice movie come up and he says, Skilly Bang, here's the script, and he don't know nothing more than crocodile teeth and plane just crash because he can't read and write.
But isn't he brilliant?
Huh?
Isn't he brilliant? I thought they said he's
no,
the
yeah, don't get it. Because hypothetical. Because I was saying he's a man right now, and how sad it would be if you came and gave him a script and he can't read and write.
You know,
he can't advance that he can't go any further because he's limited by stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Dennis Brown is my favorite artist of all time. Not just in Jamaica, but right across the world, right? And so I decided before his birthday, that I'm going to read some more about him. And one thing that I found, 1969, right, was that he wasn't playing any instrument. He was just a good singer. And Alton Ellis went over to him and said, "You need to learn to play the guitar."
Yes.
And when you learn to play the guitar, your skills in writing music will be 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis sang at a couple more concerts and bought his guitar. And you know who taught him guitar? Alton Ellis.
That's the type of mentorship
that's the type of mentorship you want. You understand? So I love what you say. You want this really, really great. It is out of mercy. We're at 11:40. I didn't even realize that we're in time. Has gone so fast. You know, when you're really having fun, this is what happens. But this has been such a great, fulfilling conversation. I want to get each person to give me, their 1 minute wrap up. And I'll start with Dianna. Dianna, give me your 1 minute wrap up.
Thanks. It really was an enlightening morning for me. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn as to what the next steps are to be for us here in Jamaica. One, I need to hook up with Buchanan and Simpson to see how I can help, or how they can help with the group of young men who come across my way in central Jamaica. Certainly there's a need for mentoring. There's a need for the mindsets of our locals at all levels, whether they're brown, white, or black like me or blacker, to understand that there is no, or there ought to be no barriers between how we support each other. Regardless, we must first seek to support each other for us to get anywhere. Economically, socially, we can't address economics before we address social issues. Had to do a survey the other day about what the needs of the people are during this COVID era, particularly students. And one of the greatest needs is food. Is having a meal, a real meal for a day, not internet and tablet as everybody trying to make the story be, but it's just those basic social needs. Maslow's hierarchy tell us, unless you address those fundamental needs, everything else comes to naught, because you're not going to get past that level. So I'm happy for this conversation here this morning, Leo. I'm hoping that we can do it again tomorrow. Well, not I have learned a lot, and I'm really committed to helping us to go forward as country.
Michelle.
Well, as always, I'm excited to be here. I'm just saying that, but it was a great conversation, very insightful, and I'm glad that you guys were here to provide information to the younger people or people who want to be artists. I did provide a lot of information, and I do remember you mentioned your organization, which I guess you mentioned, Mr. Simpson. And mentorship, as Dr. said, is important, and us as a community helping our community to get better. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in.
You know, Ewan, we didn't introduce you the right way, you know. You just pop in and start talk, you know. And I think it's your moment to tell people who you are, right? And what organization you represent and what the organization does, and why is it that we can't stream reggae music on Facebook and all of the things there. You have a moment.
All right. So my name is Ewan Simpson. I am the chairman of the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. In other parts of my life, I am also a lecturer in intellectual property management in the Institute of Caribbean Studies at UWI. And yeah, intellectual property is my thing. Isat is my colleague at the bar. So, so hear me now. One of the things that JARIA is meant to be is this hub, this space where people come to, not just to learn, but to find resources. JARIAentertainment.com is our website. JARIAentertainment.com, and JARIA Entertainment is on Facebook and Instagram and
you want to
Twitter.
spell that, please?
So we can JARIA, JARIA Entertainment. And so we can be found, just find us and we will respond to you. We have a wealth of connections in the industry that we are working hard to pull together, to coalesce, to provide the industry with guidance. So JCAP and JAMS and Sound System Association and JFMAU are part and parcel of the JARIA umbrella. And we're trying to pull everybody else in so we can speak as one voice. We don't have to always agree, but we can look in the same direction, you know, as an organization to move Jamaica's entertainment industry. And entertainment product forward. We happen to enjoy a good, and have enjoyed over the years, a good relationship with the government. Not very many organizations can say that or say that. But I think that there's more that needs to be done in terms of how we can really have information flowing forward and backwards so that we can build. Isat said it perfectly. No matter where they want to tell you, say, what we have is sports, entertainment, and tourism. That's what we have. No matter nobody tell you about all the bossy offshore banking and logistics and all this something. Waste of time. I asked somebody in a discussion last night, I was sharing a spiritual moment, you know, liquid spirits. And I was sharing a spiritual moment with the CEO of one of our biggest insurance companies in this country. And he said to me, no matter what nobody wants to say, the only thing, because somebody else at the table was pushing the issue of farming, and while farming sustainable food supply is important, this man who deals in money globally says the only thing that can take Jamaica out of its economic position is proper, and I use the word exploitation because it is a term of art, you know, mean the bad thing that we like ignorance, yeah. But proper exploitation of our creative products.
Yep, creative industries.
And you see, until the governor of the Bank of Jamaica and the president of the PSOJ and the minister of finance and the prime minister and the minister of commerce understands that, it now go work. My few words.
That's good. Thank you so much for that. That's really a great one. Isat, you're taking us home. You know, you and I are going to have another conversation too about the laws in Jamaica. When do they change? Do we depend solely on precedents, or do we have situations where you know something happened and it has to change? Because I don't see a lot of changes in a lot of the laws. We go back to, you know, that hair one, the one where we talked about earlier last year with the kid here. You know, there wasn't anything that to change the law. We went back and look at the precedent and say, this is what it is. So since this is what it is, it not change. That's what it is. You know, so I want to know, when do we get the chance to update our laws so that they match today's and so forth? So that's a different conversation. Just wanted to, but take us home.
I'm glad you put me on the spot to answer that right now, because we're kicking the door down. No. So anyway, yeah. So I'm honored to be a part of this discussion. As I said earlier, I learned a lot. Though I am closing, I was not. They didn't save the best for last. Just they saved the most inappropriate for last. I will say this, that you know, in relation to Jamaica, and I piggybacking off of what everybody said, and Ewan touch a thing with the JARIA, is that, you know, we must preserve our culture. We must understand human rights. Not that I'm not promoting the human rights attorney thing, but I'm talking as a citizen in terms of, we really, majority of us are suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. It is the genetic transference of the slave experience. We don't know no better. You see, we don't appreciate the power of the dark skin. We don't appreciate blackness. We don't understand that what it is to be Jamaican. We have forgotten that. We are watered down, and our identity is lost because of globalization, and we don't know where we fit into it. They're going to be mad at me for saying this, we are third world, and we adopt a lot of the first world ideas without fixing the third world structure. No, I have to say it like this. So we want to be fancy, and we want to be, you know, we want to hold the White House press conference and the press release. And we want to be everything, but we don't have the structure and the foundation, and we don't understand. Like, for instance, I'm just gonna say this, whether it is a part of what we're talking about. If we're gonna fix the crime plan, we have to accept, especially the ones who, like us, who are, especially the old people, we have to accept that is something that we start now. So 40 years from now, you know, we're correct. So what we're doing now, yeah, I'm not putting it on any government. No government can fix the crime. We start now. Education, it's stuck out for me. We have to educate, and I'm not talking formally, but we have to ensure that people are not ignorant or ignorant. you know, so that we can disseminate information, which is a constitutional right, and that people can receive the information and understand that, yeah, there are young men and women with talent beyond. I can't even speak, and they don't get the opportunities because they don't know that they can go to JARIA. They don't know that they can get artist development. They don't know that, yeah, they sound loud, but if they get some voice training, they can be the best versions of themselves. They don't know that they don't have to bleach. They don't know that they don't have to be pumping things in their body and keeping up like the Kardashians. They don't know. And so until we try to educate young people, try to give them opportunities, try to let them know that it's okay to make mistakes. It's seek guidance, be the best versions of yourself, and we be less judgmental as a society, then we're gonna always be in a problem. And so again, the word is love. If we exercise compassion and empathy, look at that. Look at him. Most appropriate.
Look who's there.
If we can do that, then we understand. We understand what we need to achieve.
Hold on. Before you go. So, we must understand that right? And we must be given another opportunity. So Buju made a mistake, right? So Buju made a mistake.
Yes, he did.
Opportunity.
He did make a mistake.
Right.
He did. And he has paid his debt to society. And Buju is an excellent artist.
Yes.
A very talented one. He is an educated
artist.
Yeah, although educated by the Bureau of Prisons in the United States, which thank him for, he came back with his master's and he's a businessman. So if anybody think he's just a barefoot Rasta and incapable of trying to extend what he did with that Walk to Freedom tour that gave so many people the opportunity to eat food in a space where the country was stagnant, and he brought some viability to Kingston, because Kingston is not the tourist capital.
No.
Yes. And so that should be an example that if we don't try to rehabilitate and restore, we're going to forever be stuck in the abyss.
Well, I can't say that this hasn't been a great show this morning. Thank you so much, Dianna Davis Smith, and thank you, Michelle and her son. Thank you, Ewan Simpson. Thank you so much, and Isat. Thank you so much for showing, and thank all the. We have so much things that we need to respond to. We couldn't even get a comment through on the show this morning from what was being the comments that were being made this morning. But I thank you so much. We'll get to them, and we'll see you again soon. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye bye now.
Bye.